This is Advanced Math, Unit 1, Lesson 4. That's Advanced Math, 1.4 notes. Title is Rational Expressions. We're going to start with simplify the following. Number 1, b to the third minus 1 over 3b cubed minus 2b squared minus 3b plus 2. Now remember, when you're simplifying fractions like this, in other words, they're asking you to reduce. So they didn't use the word reduce, but that's what we're going to do. All right, in order to reduce, we have to factor first. So please, please, please remember that. You cannot just go willy-nilly start crossing out b's and numbers. We have to factor first. Have to. All right, the top piece is cube factoring. I'm going to squeeze it over here. Okay, so what to the third is b cubed, b. What to the third is 1, just 1. So a is b, same as minus, b is 1. And then a squared is b squared, opposite is plus. And I am going to change this to a plus sign. So go ahead and do that now. And that's going to change these signs here. All right, so that should be b cubed plus 1. All right, doesn't change anything other than our signs. So same would be positive, still the b squared, opposite would be minus. The product of b and 1, is b, always positive, 1 squared is 1. All right, 4 terms. I'm going to cover the last term. That does not look like a perfect square trinomial. That does not look like either a trinomial guess and check. That's a perfect square. So it's going to be a 2 by 2. All right, I take out looks like a b squared in the beginning, leaving behind 3b minus 2, and I'm taking out nothing here other than a negative sign. So I'm taking out a negative 1, leaving behind a positive 3b and a minus 2. Okay, now kids will at this point like, oh, I'm going to start reducing, like say this was a b plus 1, they'd start to reduce. I cannot because I'm still not done factoring at the bottom. It's not in factored form. Do you see that minus sign? If you have minus or plus signs between terms, you're not done factoring. You see up here, there's one big chunk and it's all multiplication, parentheses, parentheses. That's one big term. There's factors, but it's one big term. Here, I still have 2 terms and I have to GCF it. The 2 terms have a common factor of 3b minus 2, leaving behind b squared minus 1, which can still be factored, and the top is going to stay as it is. Remember, this last piece here shouldn't factor if you've done everything correctly. Okay, 3b minus 2, and then b plus 1, b minus 1, and at the top b plus 1, and I'm going to see if that factors. Oh, nope, that's the part I told you not to factor. Sorry. B squared minus b plus 1. I said it wouldn't factor if you've done everything correctly. Okay, let's see what can reduce. B plus 1 reduces, and that looks like that is about it. So I have simplified. My final answer is b squared minus b plus 1 over parentheses 3b minus 2 parentheses b minus 1. That there is our final simplified answer. Okay, number 2. The quantity of c plus 3 squared minus the quantity of c plus 2 squared all over 4c squared plus 20c plus 25. And the top one is a dots. It's a chunky dots, but it is a dots. So I'm going to put my big exaggerated parentheses. And these here are both chunky pieces, so it's first plus second, first minus second, and the first one is c plus 3, and c plus 3 because c plus 3 times c plus 3 is the quantity of c plus 3 squared. Second one is going to be c plus 2, because if I multiply those together, I get negative c plus 2 quantity squared. And the bottom looks like it's just a basic guess and check. Now, this doesn't always work, but what pops out to me is 4c is a perfect squared and 25 is a perfect squared, so those are going to be my first guesses. Now, it may not be 2c and 2c, it might be 4c and 1, but I'm going to try 2 and 2 first. 25 may not be 5 and 5, it may be 25 and 1, but I'm going to check this first. My last sign is positive, which means my two signs are the same. The neighbor tells me they are both positive, and if you check 10c and 10c, that gives you 20c. So we factored correctly. Whew. Okay, up at the top, I'm not done because remember I said it's incorrect to leave nested parentheses. So check if there's anything to distribute. There's not in the first set, so I'm just going to drop the parentheses. In the second set, there is a negative to distribute, so distribute and drop c plus 3 minus c minus 2. 2c plus 5, 2c, oh, we can write that as 2c plus 5 quantity squared. I'll do that later, but for now I already wrote it out. But you could write that as 2c plus 5 quantity squared. Whew. Okay, combine like terms. That gives me 2c plus 5. And let's see, the c's cross out. Do you see that here? And then positive 3 and negative 2 is positive 1. And then 2c, I can see it's going to reduce, so instead of writing it as quantity squared, I'm just going to write it out and then just reduce it here. And finally, we are left with 1 over 2c plus 5 as our final answer. All right, we do have one more. And if you have any questions here, make note of your questions and then make sure you ask in our next class session. All right, next problem. I am going to put here, perform the indicated operation. Perform the indicated operation. And we are on number 3. Okay, 5x plus 5y all over 3x minus 27y times 7x plus 7y all over x minus y divided by 28x squared minus 28y squared all over 27y minus 3x. Okay, so I put an all-in-one. I put multiplication, division in one problem to make the notes go a little bit faster, and I can always answer questions in class. Okay, so some of the ones you'll have might be just like this, just multiplication. But you will have some on your worksheet where it's multiplication and division all in one problem, so I'm going for that one here. All right, in order to cross-reduce, because that's what you can do with multiplication, I have to factor first. Now remember, with division, you multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so I am going to factor this, flip, and factor the last one. Okay, GCF at the top. It looks like GCF at the bottom. Time's going to stay GCF. There's no GCF at the bottom. Now I'm going to change that to multiplication and flip. Now if you want to do it one step at a time, you can. You can flip it and then factor. I'm going to factor and flip at the same time. So here looks like a GCF. So that goes to the top though. 3 parentheses 9y minus x. And then this here looks like it's also a GCF and it's going to go to the bottom. Okay, I can kind of see right here when I take out the 28, I'm going to have a difference of 2 squares, so I'm going to do that all in one time. 28 double bubble, x plus y, x minus y, because what would be left over is x squared minus y squared, and I know that's a difference of 2 squares. Whew, we are ready now to reduce. Let's see what does reduce. Okay, I see an x plus y, gone. I see a 3 and a 3 that I can reduce. That is gone. And sometimes you may just have to rewrite it and then reassess what can be reduced. 7 and 28 can reduce. 7 is 1, 28 is 4. Now, don't know if you see it, and it's getting kind of messy, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Some of you can do it all in one shot. I'm just going to rewrite it to see what's going on. 5x plus y over x minus 9y times 1 left at the top, x minus y at the bottom, 9y minus x at the top, and then x minus y. Again, you don't have to do this step. If you can reduce all up here, go for it. I'm just doing it to make it a little easier on the eyes. Okay, I cannot reduce these two because they're not diagonal. They're horizontal, lined up. Now these two guys right here, the x minus 9y and the 9y minus x, are opposites. Why are they opposites? Here's what has to happen on an opposite. They have to have a minus sign, not a plus, in the middle, and they need to be flipped. X is first, 9y is second, 9y is first, x is second. They're opposites because here x is positive and over here x is negative. Here 9y is negative and over here it's positive. So when you reduce opposites, what's left behind is a -1. Where you put that, it doesn't matter. I just like to put it right up top at the front, so it's where it should be. And that is it. So -5 parentheses x plus y over, these two guys are the same, so x minus y quantity squared, and that there, oh, I lost the 4 somewhere. I know I did. There it is. Sorry about that if I confused anybody or anybody was like, hey, where'd that 4 go? It's still there. 4 is there, and then that is your final answer. All right, that is it for this lesson.